Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be reviewing George Harrison's second studio album, Electronic Sound. And this record is on the Zapple label. Yes. Pretty sure it's the same one that was also with John Lennon's first three albums too, which was the Two Virgins albums and the Wedding album as well, I think. This album was released in 1969 and was the last kind of weird one of his, like the last George Harrison experimental album that was part of his those two weird 60s albums that George Harrison released. Last Saturday I reviewed Wonderwall Sound, or I think Wonderwall music or whatever. And I was gonna do a review each week, like every Saturday, but then I realized it'll take me forever to go through each Beatles discography by doing every Saturday. So I think I said this in my last review, but I'm just gonna be doing every Saturday and Wednesday. Saturday probably later, 8, 9, 10 o'clock my time. But the Wednesday reviews will be a lot more sooner. But let's get reviewing to this. The first track, which the first and last track on side one, Under the Mersey Wall. Yep. This track is 18 minutes long and not too much to say about this track. Not really much to say about the album, really. It's just George Harrison, or no, not George Harrison. This is I forgot who, but this not George Harrison, but it's like someone messing around with the Moog synthesizer, and just I will say on this first track, it is very interesting sounding about of how they were able to interpret the sounds of it and just make something really crazy and wild sounding. But one, it just sounds, and two, it goes on for 18 minutes. And yeah, it goes on for way too long. And if you ask me, I would rather listen to a Rush song, or one of Rush's long songs, or one of Pink Floyd's one of their long songs, instead of going through 18 minutes of this. Yeah, it's not bad though. There are some cool moments, and I will say it's very interesting listening to this late at night when it's pitch dark outside and you're driving on the highway by yourself, no other cars around, and you have these crazy sounds going on in your car or truck or whatever you're driving, and you're just you could hear it just sounds really crazy. But that's the best thing I can say about this album, this track, and the album in general. This is gonna be a really quick review because there's only 2 tracks, and there's not really much to say about these tracks. Side 2, No Time or Space. This was recorded in California, November 1968, with the assistance of Bernie Cross. So that's what it says on right here. And the first track says recorded at Esher in Mary, England, with the assistance of Rupert and Jostick, the Siamese twins, February 1969. Yeah. No Time for Space, though. Not good at all. Very, very bad. Very, very dreadful. Though, if you ask me a great way to waste 25, 24, 25 minutes of your life in music. Perfect way of doing that. Really, really perfect way of doing that. If you want to, in general, if you want to waste over 40 minutes of your life on sounds, go right ahead. Listen to this. There's definitely going to be a fan of George Harrison or just in general that's going to be like, what are you talking about? This is a masterpiece. It's different. I love it. It's amazing. It's you don't get it. Your mind is too simplistic to understand this masterpiece of art. But those people are just willing to listen to anything. Whoever says that. There are people who do say that though about those weird John Lennon tracks from the 60s where those two virgins where it's like, oh, your mind is too simplistic to understand this. What is up? I am briefly reviewing this really awful album of George Harrison, Electronic Sound. I was going over how there's probably people who are willing to defend this record and every other weird solo Beatle record in the 60s. And hey, if you could like the two versions albums, or hey, if you could enjoy this album, then nice. That's great. I'm glad there could be people who could enjoy that sound, but for someone who doesn't like it, there's definitely a person who's definitely going to try to shove it down your throat. Okay, normally this is a time where I would say 5 favorite songs in a song rate and an album rating, but one, there's only 2 tracks on this album, and 3, well, not 3, 2, neither one of these songs are really that great. I say if I had to pick my poison, I would say the Mersey beat one. See, this album is so unmemorable. I always forget the name of the tracks. Under the Mersey Wall, I'd say the first track is like the one to listen to if you want to twitch your ears for 18 minutes. I'd say this is the first track would be the better option to choose. And album rating, this might sound generous, but I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10, which I know it's really low scored, but for an album that's just synthesizer noises, I will say it's very generous of a rating. But yeah, I'm excited for Saturday because I'm going to be reviewing George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. So I was like I said, I was going to do Saturday each week and then doing it, but then I'm like, yeah, I don't want people to wait this Saturday just to get this album, and then have to wait another week for an actual good George Harrison album. So just thinking out for my viewers. Plus, it's a lot faster doing it Saturdays and Wednesdays. What type? Well, the way it's looking is that my next Beatle I'm reviewing is Ringo. Like I'm getting like out of 7 votes, like 6 votes were for Ringo. So I guess I'm doing Ringo next. Didn't think I was going to be doing Ringo next, but guess I'm doing Ringo next. And after Ringo, I'll put up a poll after I do like a few out like an album or two. I'll put up the poll like John Lennon or Paul McCartney and go from there. Probably for the John Lennon albums, I will be doing it. Like, actually, not. John Lennon had like over 10 albums as well. So, but yeah, well, it sometimes my words just don't come out. Like I think about the words, but then I just can't say them. But in terms of how I would rank the albums I reviewed, like I'm like for like the first like 4 or 5 albums I do, I'm gonna like rank them. But like if I had to rank these first two albums. This is definitely worse than the first one, because the first one had like 4 or 5 like really good tracks, like 4 or 5 decent tracks, and then like 3 or 4 mediocre tracks, and then like 3 tracks that are just like garbage. So yeah, 2 out of 10. And the one track I guess I would take away from this whole album out of these 2 tracks is the Mersey Wall or whatever. Like, if I had to torture my eardrums for over 10 minutes, I guess the Mersey one would be the best option. But this is like one of those cases where unless you're going through the band or artist discography, I would just avoid the album straight up, because this album is just straight up not enjoyable. But who knows? Drop it in the comments what you think of this album. Whether you hate it like I do, or you think it's all right, or you might be like, this is George Harrison's best work, and you think I'm crazy. And hey, who knows? But that's gonna be a wrap, and see y'all next time. So long.